The most delicious moments in my childhood memories were when my friends and I secretly played our secret games. These games were not like ordinary games. They involved our innocent mischief, laughter, and small dreams. One day, my three friends and I were hiding in an old room. We closed the door, lit a candle, and said, "This is our castle. No one can come here." We are all talking about things. Sometimes we laughed so loudly that we were afraid the householders wouldn't listen. The real fun of this game was that we thought of ourselves as kings, soldiers, and heroes. When the game is over, they promise each other this secret should not go out. Today, I think those little secret games were the first step in our creation and dreaming power. These moments comfort the heart and remind how true and selfless the joys of childhood were. The school day was like normal days, but it became the most special day for me. We were all sitting in class. The teacher started checking homework. I was afraid that nothing would go wrong. But when the teacher reached my copy, a smile fell on his face. He said to the entire class, "Children, this is an example of hard work. See how well it works." My eyes began to shine with joy. The teacher took a beautiful pen out of his pocket and gave it to me. That pen was probably ordinary, but to me it was the most precious thing in the world. I thought to myself, this prize is not just a pen, but the result of hard work. When she went home, she was pleased and said, "Son, the fruit of hard work is always sweet. It is the beginning, and there will be great rewards." Even today, when I hold the pen in my hand, I remember the smile of the teacher and the prayers of the mother. Small childhood battles sometimes become big memories. One day my sister took my favorite pencil. I said, "This is mine. Come back." He said, "No, it's mine." The two of us got into a heated argument, and I started crying and complaining to my mother. The mother came and explained to us, "You two are nothing without each other. Why are you fighting?" We both fell asleep that night, angry, but the next morning my sister came to me, laughing and saying, "Let's play again." It was as if the first light of the sun had touched the heart. That day I learned that in relationships there are disagreements, but love always wins. As soon as the raindrops fell on the ground, all of us children ran outside. There was a coolness in the air, the smell of dust on the ground, and a strange joy in the heart. We took off our shoes and began to jump in the hips. Laughter echoed in every hip. The friend said, "Look who's the biggest hitter." The mother kept shouting from the door, "You'll get sick, come in." But we did not fear the cold, nor did we fear the cold. When they returned home, the mother dressed herself in dry clothes and said, "This rain will remain forever." It is still remembered today in every drop of rain. How sleepy the house felt without the mother. It was first realized the day the mother became ill. She was lying on the bed, tired on her face and weak in her eyes. My sisters and I were sitting beside them. There was a strange fear in my heart, as if everything had stopped. I raised my hand to pray for the first time and said, "Oh Allah, heal my mother." The mother said in a weak voice, "Son, don't worry, I'll be fine soon." That day he learned that the health of his mother was the greatest blessing. This moment always reminds me that happiness is incomplete without a mother. The morning was like a dream. When he first dressed, his heart was filled with joy. I went out into the street with friends, and everyone's faces were bright with joy. Eating, and laughing were all unforgettable. It was simple, but it was heartwarming. I still remember the smell of childhood when I wear something new. The father's reproach is severe, but love is hidden behind him. One day I forgot to do my homework. When the father came to him, he said, "Is it time to play or read?" When I was sleeping in the night, he put his hands on his head and said, "My son, this is for your good." That day I realized that the reproach of the father was actually the second form of love. The first test is always special. As I sat in class, the paper came in my hand and my heart started beating loudly. He was holding his hands, shaking his hands. But as I started writing, my confidence grew. When the copy was finished, I was relieved to say, I didn't waste work. On that day, he learned that fear is always defeated by hard work. Cheating is the worst wound in friendship. A friend promised to stay together, but when the time came, he backed away. It was as if the world had changed. But over time, I learned that not everyone is a true friend. True friends are few, but they are the real treasure. When the new year came from the last days of 1985, the quiet streets of the village gave a glimpse of new life. You were still a young child, but your parents' dream was to become something by reading and writing. They took you to a school for the first time. For the first time. Just on the shoulder, copies in hand. And fear and excitement in the heart were all together. The teacher's faces were strange as he entered the class. But his heart was saying, "This is the place where my world will change." The first picnic at school was like a dream. Moments of singing, laughing and sharing food with friends still make the heart rejoice today. We all had a good time eating and playing. That day, life taught that happiness increases from sharing. The first book of life came into your hands. It was a raw age. Words could not be understood. But when you turned the pages, it seemed as if a door was opening. When the teacher first taught you to write, Alf, it was as if a new secret had been revealed in the whole universe. That day was always memorable because it was the first brick of the journey of knowledge. It was time to come back from school and play. Sometimes the street rods, sometimes the scissors, sometimes the sneakers from the garden with the hands of my mother. All these memories made the heart laugh. The little fights with siblings and then the scolding of my mother. Everything was coloring life. In those days, winter nights were special. Everyone in the house would sit together by lighting a fire of wood. Your grandmother would tell old stories, including witches, princesses, and brave soldiers. You would listen in amazement and think that one day you might become the hero of your life. One day at school, the teacher said, "Son, a man is blind without knowledge." These words came straight to his heart. After that day, a fire burned in your heart to study. Even at a young age, you decided never to leave school. When the day of Eid came, the world of happiness was something else. New clothes, shoes, and a little 80 in his pocket. He spent the whole day playing and hanging out with friends, playing with siblings, fighting, then celebrating each other. All of these were part of the sweetness of a relationship. Once you broke the little sister's toy, she cried. But later she spent her own pockets giving her a new heart. On that day you learned that relationships are strengthened by small sacrifices. A few of your closest friends became after school. In the evenings they would all sit together, laugh and share dreams. Sometimes they would sit in the village fields and talk about the future. These gamers took to heart the importance of friendship. A few of your closest friends became after school. In the evenings they would all sit together, laugh and share dreams. Sometimes they would sit in the village fields and talk about the future. These gamers took to heart the importance of friendship. One day there was an essay competition at school. You wrote from the heart, and when the result came, the first prize was your name. That day the teacher put his hand on your head in front of everyone and said, "This kid will go ahead and earn a name." That moment became a pillar of your morale. The fields of the village were the playground. Sometimes cricket, sometimes kabaddi, sometimes kite fighting. The noise of joy at winning and the mischief of friends at losing. The game taught you that life is full of competition, but the victory of the brave is always ripe. The little sister's laughter was the brilliance of the house. One day you sat her on your shoulders and ran around the house. Her smile made the mother's heart rejoice. You felt as if siblings were the gift of paradise for each other. When the annual exam drew near, fear settled in the hearts of the children of the whole village. They read late every night, and in the morning they answered the questions of the teacher. You also worked day and night, and at the same time learned the lesson that hard work never fails. On summer afternoons, when everyone was sleeping, you and your friends would play under the mango tree, sometimes sitting in the shade, sometimes climbing the tree and breaking the mango. All these memories are still the sweetness of your childhood. My grandmother's stories still resonate in my ears today. She used to say, "Be brave, help others, and keep your heart pure." These stories sowed seeds of goodness and truth within you, guiding you at every turn of life. One day the electricity went out at school. The teacher lit a candle and taught. You thought, "When I grow up, I will bring so much light into my house that it will never be dark." This dream burned as a candle of hope in your heart. The narrow streets of the village, the slimy walls and the curtains hanging on the doors ... were all the hallmarks of childhood. When you walked through these streets, there was a familiar voice through every door. This adoption was rare in the streets of cities later on. The narrow streets of the village, the slimy walls and the curtains hanging on the doors ... were all the hallmarks of childhood. When you walked through these streets, there was a familiar voice through every door. This adoption was rare in the streets of cities later on. The teacher's stick. One day when the teacher did not remember the lesson, he hit his hand with a stick. Tears came to my eyes, but my heart decided that I would never forget the lesson again. That stick was not actually a lesson in pain, but the importance of hard work. The smell of the fields. When the fields were full of green after the rain, the fragrance of the soil would touch the heart. Seeing the farmers plowing with their father, you would think, these are the real heroes who give life to the earth. Mothers scold. One day as a child you were so obsessed with playing that you forgot to eat. Mother scolded you, but at night you fed yourself with your hands on your head. Mother's scold was also wrapped in love. First-time picnic. For the first time, school children were taken to a nearby garden for a picnic. All the friends jumped for joy. Swings, games, and food baskets ... That day gave the childhood another color. One day your team lost badly in a game of cricket. Friends joked, but you didn't give up. That same day I learned that losing in life is actually the preparation for winning. One morning on the way to school, the cold air hit your face. You took a deep breath with your eyes closed. That moment felt as if the whole universe were welcoming you. These little moments of joy seem very precious later. One day a friend didn't have the money to buy books. You gave half the money out of your own pocket. Tears of gratitude rolled down his eyes. That day you learned that real wealth comes from others. There was a festival in the village. Lightning flashes lit up at night. The sounds of swings and toys made the atmosphere magical. You sat on the swing for the first time and looked up at the sky, and your heart said, "Life is also a swing. It goes up and down." Before going to bed, the mother would teach us to pray. God, show us the right way. This prayer became imprinted on the heart from childhood, and later it guided us through every difficult turn of life. As a child, the scene of the small mosque in the village was particularly comforting. The sound of the call echoed in the streets, and all the children would run to the mosque.